thank you for inviting me here this evening. Thane Maynard is a tough act to follow. I'm just glad he didn't bring a cute furry animal. The city of Cincinnati is the only governmental entity in the entire state of Ohio that provides its own pension fund to its employees. All other governmental entities around the state provide a pension to their employees through one of 5 state funds. Here in Cincinnati, police and fire are covered by a state fund for purposes of their retirement. So this pension reform that we're here to talk about tonight does not apply to police or fire or to a handful of other employees of the city of Cincinnati who are covered by a state fund. But most of the other city employees are covered by a pension fund that's provided by the city of Cincinnati. There are approximately 3,500 current employees and 4,500 retirees covered by this pension fund. And it's been around a long time. It goes back to the 1930s. From the 1930s until the late 1990s and early 2000s, the Cincinnati pension fund was financially stable and prudently managed. In other words, there was enough money that the city put into this pension fund to provide for the benefits that had been promised to its retirees. Then something happened in the early 2000s, and it was this. The city of Cincinnati decided to promise increased retirement benefits to its employees, which seemed very nice at the time. However, unfortunately, from the early 2000s till the present, the city of Cincinnati leadership did not put enough money into the pension fund to fund the promises that it had made to its current employees and to its retirees. And so, in the spirit of this being nonpartisan, I would think that my opponent, the person here who's going to speak on the other side of the issue, and I would agree on this. This underfunding of the city's pension fund is a very, very serious problem. And it needs to be solved. Where, of course, I think we're going to disagree is on the solution. We believe, the Cincinnati Pension Reform Committee believes that the ballot initiative that we put on the ballot is the best possible solution under the circumstances. And that although you might challenge certain details, that essentially it's the best we can do at this particular point in time. And the reason we're doing this is not because we wanted to spend hours and hours and hours digging into the details of the city's pension fund. It's because we recognize that this problem could lead us to where Detroit is today, which is bankruptcy. In June of 2013, the consultants who advised the city on how to run its pension fund reported that the pension fund is underfunded in the amount of $862 million. That means that there are employees who have accrued and earned benefits. As of today, benefits that have been promised to them that they earned that are not paid for to the tune of $862 million. And what that means is that year in and year out, the city has reneged on its promises to its retirees. Every year, and there's a diagram in the material that I've given you that's taken straight from the actuary's report. And what it shows you is the amount that the actuary recommended to the city that the city should put into its pension fund each year. That's the black line. The dotted line is the amount that the city council actually voted to put into the fund each year. And you'll see that there's a big gap. So this gap has grown year in and year out to the point where just a few weeks ago, a member of our pension board, a man who is a retired pension benefit executive himself, was quoted in the Cincinnati Enquirer as saying, if we do not fix this problem now, the city could go bankrupt. And we have the state auditor, Dave Yost, comes down to Cincinnati in June, and he studies our books and our pension records, and he held a press conference and he said, this pension problem is a monster that's going to eat the city. In fact, he referred to it as Pensionzilla. And so what does that mean for the city? What does that mean? Well, it means that we will not have the money to provide the kind of public safety and social services that the city of Cincinnati and its residents and its taxpayers have come to expect. in demand. Why? Because this hole is going to have to be filled. Okay, it's a commitment. And our pension reform would honor that commitment. And one of the things our pension reform says is that over the next 10 years, the pension benefits that have been earned must be funded. Not immediately, but over a 10-year period. But it also says that clearly, based on what has happened over the last 10 years, that the benefits that have been promised to employees are too expensive and that we can't afford them. So we insist that the benefits that have been earned be paid, but that going forward, that the benefit formula be changed to bring it down to a more reasonable level that the city and its taxpayers and residents can afford. In addition to that, we insist that we do something to take away this unlimited credit card that city council has had for the last 10 years that has gotten us into this hole. And that's why we say that for new hires, for people that don't yet work for the city, that we provide what's called a defined contribution plan. Rather than a plan that promises them something per month at some point in the future, we put money into account for them month after month, year after year, that the city matches up to 9%. 18% of the employee's income could be put away for them year after year that they would own, that they could take with them to another place of business, and that when they retire, that fund will have earned money over time, and they will have a substantial amount of money to help them with their retirement. But the important fact there is that, again, the city would no longer be able to dig the kind of hole that they've dug for us as of today. So what I ask of you is I don't expect anybody to walk out of this immediately thinking, yes, this is the solution. But what you must recognize, what I plead that you recognize, is that we have a major financial problem in the city of Cincinnati. There needs to be a solution. And I ask you that you look carefully at the solution that we proposed with this charter amendment. And when you hear people say that that's not the right answer or that there are problems with it, I ask you to ask them, okay, what's your solution? And if they give you platitudes, ask for specifics. Because that's what we've done with our charter amendment. We have a plan. We have a plan that we truly believe will fix the problem over time. And it must be fixed. That's all I have, and so I'd like to, if there's a little bit of extra time, I'd like to use it to answer questions.
Yes, we have time for
Do you have
questions.
questions now or after?
Now.
Okay.